Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. So, we are meeting after almost a month, and the topic which we were discussing was the 12th chapter, especially the topic where Sri Krishna gives a list of qualities which show who is the most favorite amongst all the devotees of the Lord. So naturally, when you say that one says one is a real devotee of the Lord, he just can't say this offhand, saying that because I like my Lord, or I am always thinking of him, or I understand him more than anyone else, I am a good devotee. There are many qualifications, and to be favorite of the Lord, because that is the question here. Sri Krishna explains all the different options to Arjuna, and he knows that bhakti is a graded effort, in the sense somebody is less prepared than others, and he has to start from the beginning. If he has to start from the beginning, he has to develop certain qualities over a period of time, and when these qualities become natural to the bhakta, to the devotee. First of all, he explains why bhakti is a easier path in the first few verses than jnana, because for an embodied person, for a person who is attached to his sthula sharira, sukshma sharira, and even who doesn't even know that there is a karana sharira which is guiding his destiny. Sthula and sukshma we can analyze, because we know we have a physical body, and we know when it doesn't obey our commands, when it becomes unruly, when our senses become unruly. So also our minds. Most of us are aware, if we are patient enough, when we try to meditate, we are aware of the vagaries of the mind, how it misbehaves, how it goes out of control, and we cannot control our own mind. But at least we know that things are not in control. But when we come to the causal body, there are many things hidden in potential form. And that is the big struggle. In spiritual life, it is the causal body. At that level, we have to deal with our own personality. And the bhakta doesn't know the contents of his own causal body, because most of them are in a potential form. The samskaras, all the impulses, the inherent tendencies which we have inherited from several lives. It's not just this life. Plus the training that we get in this life. Many things have been stored there which are not active now. So there's no way to know, for a person to know whether he's angry or not. It's only when he's tested through karma yoga in the field of life, when there are different situations which make him react. If there's no reaction, if one isolates himself, he perhaps will never be aware of what defects he has, but he has to expose himself. That is why they say karma yoga is good in the beginning, because in karma you have to deal with people. When you deal with people and circumstances, then you know the reactions, and then you can guess. Oh, I didn't realize I had so much anger hidden within me. When everything was fine, I was very calm, and everything seemed to be so nice on the surface in the Sthula Sharira and the Sukshma Sharira. My mind was also cooperating with me. But suddenly, when the situation changed, circumstances changed, I came in contact with people who started in different ways, disturbing my balance. Then I understood, then the person understands that he was not as balanced, as calm as he thought. There were many irritations which he was himself not aware of, which were in potential form in the Karana Sharira. So the Lord now wants to show that maybe you do not know what the contents of your causal body. And that is why when you are embodied being, when Sri Krishna says in the beginning that a embodied being, jnana is difficult. Jnana is easy for those people who have full knowledge of their own personality. They are not embodied in the sense they have full knowledge of their gross body. Their gross body is fully under their control by a lot of hard work. That is a preparation for Jnana Yoga. In fact, the Guru tells that you have to, just if you see the Upanishads, he is given some menial task. He has to go on doing without questioning, without. And when he is ready, when the body becomes strong and the mind also is trained, then and also the Karana Sharira, the hidden tendencies are also eradicated. Then the Guru says, now you are fit for Jnana, now you come, I'll give you knowledge. That is the path of knowledge. But the path of Bhakti is for those people who are feeling that they are embodied. They are very strong attachments, likes and dislikes to their physical body. Mental body, especially the Sukshma Sharira, has very strong likes and dislikes. So naturally, they are not in control. So for such, Bhakti Yoga and causal body, of course, they are not even aware what is in store for them. For such people, those who are embodied beings, the one single word, Deha Vadbhi, means the ones who is one who is embodied. So in one word, Sri Krishna tells him for the embodied one who is attached to the physical, mental, and also causal body. For such a person, the gradual path is Bhakti Yoga. Then in Bhakti Yoga, you saw till verse 12, which we discussed earlier in our earlier classes. He is giving options to Arjuna. You start, do this. Can you do this? Or if you can't do this, then at least do this. If you can't do this, then do the next best thing. So Abhyasa, Vairagya, so many things. Abhyasena, he says, practice Abhyasa. But even if you can't do, then just do work, dedicate all the fruits to me. Because that way you will not only control your physical, mental, and causal body, but you will purify it gradually, and then you will be fit for other higher practices. Now, after having described all the options, how one can practice Bhakti Yoga, then he says, now suppose you have become a Bhakta, according to the classification that Krishna has given. Say we have become Bhakta. At least we claim that we have become Bhaktas of the Lord now. Now, among them, among the devotees, who is very dear to me? Because unless the Bhakta and Bhagwan relationship will thrive only if the Lord showers His grace. Because all the time we are asking the Lord for His grace. So we should know, the Bhakta should know that what are the qualities that Bhagwan wants. And what are the things if we do Bhagwan likes most. So what are the qualities that I need to cultivate to deserve the position, to become a favorite of the Lord? That means be fit for His grace. Grace doesn't come just like that. That is why Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna that, and many times you find there are so many bhaktas in the Bhagavatam and also in his biography. The gopis are there who were devotees of Sri Krishna in their own way. There was Uddhava, there was Arjuna who had the Sakha Bhav, who thought, I am the friend of the Lord himself. Then there were somebody like Yashoda who considered Krishna to be the child. So it's the Vatsalya Bhava. So that, yeah. So all these different attitudes Sri Krishna had towards his devotees classified these devotees into different categories. People with Vatsalya Bhava, that means people who adopt the same attitude which Yashoda had with Bal Gopala. They always think that the Lord is small, their child, and they have that kind of filial relationship with the child. Whereas if you see the others, like Arjuna always considered Krishna as his friend, nothing beyond. And that was also a type of bhakti. So when you see all these different types of bhaktis, Sri Krishna very often introduced them to each other. For example, Uddhava was a great devotee. At least he considered himself to be a great devotee. So he wanted to just show him his proper place. So he thought this person thinks he is the greatest. Even Narada had that ego. So just to convince him that there are better devotees than you, he asks him to go to Vrindavan. We know that incident. And then Uddhava goes. And then so many things happen. Then he gets convinced that these gopis are far, far superior in devotion than me. So I used to think that I am the greatest among devotees. So the Lord is now describing the divine traits from verse number 13 to 20 very elaborately. So now you can find out from these verses how difficult it is to become the favorite of the Lord. Who is a true bhakta? The qualities will put many of us off, and we'll feel that, oh my God, do we have to have these divine traits to just to qualify to become a favorite of the Lord? So how difficult it is. This point is now clarified by the Lord himself. The 13th verse, 13 to 20th, that's the last verse. So all the 27 verses will be describing the divine traits. So Adveshta Sarva Bhutanam, this is verse 13. Maitra Karuna Evacha Nirmamo Nirahankaraha Sama Dukkha Sukha Kshami. Now, all these qualities which you will observe from 13 to 20 are not qualities which he should have or a devotee should have towards the Lord. That is surprising. We are speaking of devotion to the Lord, but he is speaking of qualities which you need to have in relationship to other beings. Now, this is strange because you might think, well, how does it matter how I behave with other people? As long as my devotion to the Lord is fixed, I'm just focused on my devotion. But he says, no, you have to have these traits even for me, because I am in all these creatures. I am in the heart of all these beings. So by hurting them, you are hurting me. So it really matters how you treat others. How is your relationship with the world, Prakriti? All other than, including ourselves, we are all parts of Prakriti. And Prakriti is under the control of Purusha, or the Supreme Lord, who through his divine Maya makes us behave in different ways through this Prakriti of his. Mama Maya Duratyaya. So he says, my Maya is difficult to understand because I act through Prakriti, which behaves in various ways, confusing a person what exactly he has to do. So human relationship, our relationship with the world, what is our attitude towards other fellow beings and other creatures, the whole nature, that is very important. And if you cultivate these qualities, divine traits, then there is a chance that you can be the favorite of the Lord. So who again among the devotees becomes the favorite of the Lord? So that is clarified. Adveshta Sarva Bhutana Maitraha Karuna Evacha Nirmamo Nirahankara Sama Dukkha Sukha Kshami. Then the 14th also I'll read because it's connected. Santushta Satatam Yogi Yatatma Dhrida Nishchaya Mayarpita Mano Buddhir Yo Mad Bhakta Same Priya. Who is a favorite of mine? Adveshta, one who does not hate. Sarva Bhutanam, who does not hate any creature. Not only human beings, but any creature. Maitraha, who is friendly towards all. Karuna, compassionate. Not only friendly, but is compassionate. Jesus also says, if you expect to be forgiven by the Lord, then you have to forgive other people. So Maitra, Karuna. Maitra means he is friendly, he is compassionate. Maitra, Karuna, Evacha. He should be not only friendly, but compassionate and forgive the faults of others. Evacha, Nirmama, without a strong feeling of mine and me and mine. Me, when me is there, mind comes along with that. The ahankara is responsible for mamakara, they say. Ahankara means I. If the I is strong, then mine and our is also very strong because it is connected. If I have a strong identification with my own ego, then there is a strong identification with the things that I think are mine. In fact, Sri Ramakrishna used to make fun that two brothers, God laughs when he gave two or three examples. He says, two brothers say they put a fence across because after their father passes away, they want to divide the property. So they just put a fence. The same property, they'll put a fence and then they'll say, this is mine, don't enter this side. That is yours. And Sri Ramakrishna says, God must be laughing. This whole world belongs to me, and these people put boundaries and say, this is mine, this is yours. So this mamatva, it comes nirmama. So he should not have the idea of uh, possessing or the ego of possessing certain things, saying this is mine, this is yours, like that. So see the different qualities. The verse 13 is stating certain conditions, following which the devotee becomes a favorite of the Lord. So it is very difficult to become the Lord's favorite devotee. So here he says, Karunaya should be compassionate without any mindness or mamatva, nirahankara. So here he places nirahankara after nirmama. The reason is it's easy to give possessions. You see, but difficult to give up ahankar itself. The ahankar or the ego, mamatva is a byproduct of the ego. If I have a strong ego, then I have a strong attachment to things that I consider to be my own. So it's easier. The first step is to give up mind. So you reduce. Okay, the world is trying to say that this is not yours. You give up. You give up one thing, you give up the second thing. It's easy. You still think that I have 80 things, 100 things still with me. So giving away one or two things, you may not feel sad. But giving away, renouncing the ego is much more difficult. So he step by step, he says, nirmamaha, one who is nirmama, he can be nirmama towards certain things. He doesn't have the idea of possession with respect to certain things. He'll say, okay, I'll share these things with all, but this I can't share. This is my own. So that nirmama, if one practices, nirahankara will also come. And then is the most difficult task. This is meant for a higher devotee. Sama dukkha sukha kshami. He is not only forgiving, but is balanced in pleasure and pain. Because if you say that you are devoted to the Lord and don't, and then keep quarreling with the Lord that why are you giving me so much of pain? You expect the Lord to always give you pleasure, to always give you what you want, what you pray for, and you lose patience with Him if He doesn't give you. So that sama dukkha, balanced in pleasure and pain. If the pain comes, it has come from the Lord. If the pleasure comes, then the Lord is pleased. He tests by sending both in fact, every human being, our life itself is a mixture of pleasure and pain. In fact, Swami Vivekananda says there's more of pain than pleasure. Now and then, a little bit of pleasure God sends to make us feel that this life is worth living. Because if it was pain all the time, then whether it is physical or mental, then a person could not live. He will not live for long. But now and then he gives him a little loose rope and gives a little pleasure. So they say happiness comes with a crown of thorns on its head. It comes with a crown, but that crown is full of thorns. So Sri Krishna says in the 13th verse, 13th and 14th, that sama dukkha sukha kshami, balanced, even-minded in pleasure and pain. And kshami is repeating again, though he says in the karuna, that is compassionate. To be compassionate is also to be a kshami, because if one is compassionate, one will forgive. Otherwise, one will always keep something. If somebody has done something, he'll always keep it in mind, and then it will simply, you'll not be able to even forget. That's why they say it is easy to forgive, but difficult to forget. You may verbally say, okay, I forgive you, you go away. Maybe it's out of some disgust you say, but then if you keep on remembering that, see, I have forgiven him, I have forgiven him, that feeling, if it persists, that means you are not able to forget. The moment you forgive, one should forget. So that is why Sri Krishna is saying Kshami. He should be Kshami in addition to being Karunaha. Means he may be compassionate, but at the same time he must forgive and also forget. Then the second verse, that is 14th, Santushta Satatam Yogi. He is ever contented. That means Holy Mother used to say, Srima Sharda Devi, that there is no virtue greater than contentment. She could have said there is no greater virtue than forgiveness, there is no greater virtue than daya, compassion, there is no greater virtue. There are so many virtues one can be proud of. But she says no, the greatest among gunas, that is virtues. Guna means, in Bengali, guna means qualities, not greatest among all virtues is contentment. So if you see our life, it is discontentment that gives rise to all other problems. If one is content with whatever one has, then life becomes, then it is possible to cultivate all the above qualities. The 13th verse, all the qualities come from a spirit of contentment. If one is not, if one is discontent with the present state of affairs, either within the household or outside with other people, then that discontentment will give rise to all these problems. Sukha and dukkha. You become dukhi because you're not contented. That has, if you are happy with the status quo or with what you have, then there is no dukkha because you are happy with whatever you get. So santushta satatam, not once. You should be ever contented, ever steady, but that is possible if one meditates. So steady in meditation, satatam, satatam yogi. Satatam yogi means one who is an adept in always inclined towards meditation. Whenever you get some time, he just practices contentment. Holy Mother once in another place she says, is it easy for a person to be contented unless one is meditative? Because meditation increases the tendency to be content. We are content, but then if when we are in a state of meditation, we don't have strong likes and dislikes, then we can't meditate at all. If you have very strong qualities, good or bad, even good qualities, you are very strong, you're hyperactive, you just want to help others. And then when you go on, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar's famous incident is there. Thakur went to meet him because he was very compassionate. He had all the 13th verse qualities. He was forgiving. He was, you may say, he had no ego, that he was a great scholar. He used to wear very simple dress. He was very well known in Bengal, very great scholar, but he had no ego. Apparently, he had no ego. And also, he was very well read. But at the same time, he was very helpful, very philanthropic. Anybody who came to Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, he would not disappoint him. Whatever he could do, he would help. So, but there was one problem. Sri Ramakrishna, that's why went him, said he is a really potential spiritual aspirant, but he did not have the qualities because he did not believe so much in the existence of God or devotion or spiritual practices that he thought philanthropy or doing good to others is the goal of life. But then Sri Ramakrishna knew at the end of his life, he became a very, very disappointed person because all those people whom he helped not only expressed their gratitude, did not express their gratitude, but also criticized him. So he was really so much disgusted with the he completely lost faith in humanity. So if somebody praised him, he was so much heartbroken that all these people I have helped and they don't even express their gratitude. I don't even want any gratitude, but at least let them not criticize. So jokingly, they say towards the end of his life, if somebody praised him, it was a great news for him. And then he jokingly said, I don't know when I have helped this person. Why is he praising me? Because he thought that only uh, a person who whom he has helped, they are all uh, only they will criticize him. So whenever somebody not spoke well, whenever somebody came and criticized him, he said, I don't remember when I have done a good deed or when I have helped you. Because he believed that only the people whom I have done good, they end up criticizing me, lost faith in humanity. So that is because he had certain motive behind doing good. So he should be contented and ever steady in meditation. So meditation helps that person, uh, the yogi or one, the meditation helps the bhakta to be steady and yatatma. He is also self-controlled. One who is self-controlled, controlling his physical senses, the body, the mind, and also through meditation, trying to burn out the inherent tendencies or samskaras which are responsible for the disturbance in our sukshma and sthula sharira. So even that yatatma doesn't mean controlling of the mind alone or controlling of the body alone. So he is a true yogi according to Patanjali's yoga also, one whose kleshas, that is the deep samskaras which the yogi himself doesn't know. But as in the process of meditation, those deep rooted samskaras which are not manifest now, which are in potential form, those samskaras are still there. There's a lot of anger there, but we think because the situation around us is so calm and so nice, we are not tested. Only when we are tested to the extreme, when we are facing situations where you will definitely lose your patience, then you realize whether you are a yogi or not. That's what Sri Krishna says. That is when the kleshas and all the anger which was totally subdued and you thought you could never get angry, but those samskaras, they were dormant, they were not dead. That is why yogis, the Patanjali's yoga says, you have to burn those kleshas, the five kleshas which are responsible: raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, fear. There are so many things lurking inside, which are not known to the aspirant. So, and that can be controlled or that can be destroyed only by a yogi who is Dhrida Nishchaya. So Sri Krishna says, these are the qualities. The 14th verse is very important. First, he says how he manifests himself. But in extreme situations, he should be contented. Because contentment is a very difficult, most difficult quality to acquire. As I said, Holy Mother always said, Santosher moto gun hoy na. There is no quality higher than contentment. But that cannot come without meditation, without self-control, and without becoming Dhrida Nishchaya. We also spoke of that Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, Ekeha Kurunandana, means he tells Arjuna that Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, the awakening of the Buddhi. In fact, in the spiritual retreat, we had given this topic. What is Buddhi? Buddhi alone, the awakening of the Buddhi alone gives a sort of conviction. Dhi means dhira. It has come from the word dhira in Hindi and other vernacular languages. Dhira is one who has a firm conviction. He is a steady person, and a dhira is always steady. He doesn't waver because his conviction is firm. So here, Dhrida Nishchaya is a dhira, one whose buddhi has been awakened. Mai arpita mano buddhi. Now that is possible if you dedicate, I mean, direct your mind, not only mind, but after awakening the mind, that is reaching the higher levels of the mind, which is buddhi. So that is why Sri Krishna makes this distinction. You see, just like in yoga, this two-layered mind is there. There are four parts of the mind: mana, buddhi, ahankara, chitta. So mana is the reactive mind that we see. Buddhi is the higher mind, which is the discriminative mind, which is spoken of by Sri Krishna here. Chitta is the sukshma, the causal state of our personality, where the mind, chitta means the receptacle. Literally, chitta means the receptacle in which all our past samskaras are in hidden form. They are not manifest because the situation has not, when the extreme situation comes, like the war, this was an extreme situation which nobody expected, that the brothers, cousins will fight each other. And finally, when they were face to face, this was the extreme situation where he was facing the prospect of killing his own guru, Dronacharya, and his grandfather, whom he loved. All these people. This is an extreme situation for anyone in any situation of life, where you are confronted with your own people and you have to kill them. Not only fight them, but most probably kill them to win the battle. So this extreme situation even provoked a great warrior and general like Arjuna to be fearful. Actually, fear came first. So because that fear was lurking, and then he was somehow so strong, his training of the mind and training of the body and training of weaponry and all other training that he was given by Dronacharya was so strong that Arjuna could not believe that he will be weak-minded. He was not even afraid of the whole Kaurava army. But suddenly, from his Karana Sharira, that subtle fear came up. That is why he says, please, Mai Arpita Mano Buddhi. The mind, not only the reactive mind, because that everybody can say that I have devoted my mind. In fact, Narada, when he thought he was a great devotee, because always he used to say Narayana, Narayana, and then wherever he went, and he thought there is no greater devotee than me. So Krishna wanted to teach him a lesson, and then he sends Narada and also Uddhava to other devotees and says that when you see these devotees, you'll understand that your devotion is nothing. So similarly, it is not enough if the mind is dedicated to the Lord, repeating the holy name, but the buddhi also has to be awakened, and that has to be directed to me. That's why I say, Mai Arpita, Mana and Buddhi. Why does Sri Krishna says? Because there are two distinct states of the mind, so-called mind, which is Manas, Buddhi, Ahankara, and Chitta. So all these things, first he says you dedicate without a Nirahankara, Nirmama, mine and me and mine, they are always connected. So you have to give up that, and also Mana and Buddhi you have to dedicate to me. And Yaha Mad Bhakta, he is my greatest devotee. He is dear to me. Now he's comparing different categories of devotees. So 13th and 14th says, he who first hates no being. So it's not just the relationship with the Lord that is important, how much devotion you have to the Lord. If you love the Lord and hate his beings, then you are not a great devotee according to Krishna, because he says he gives what your relationship should be with the world. And then I'll tell you what relationship you should have, or devotion you should have towards me. First, you have to hate no being, one who is friendly and compassionate to all, one who is feel free from the feeling of I and mine, mama and aham, who is even-minded in pain and pleasure, and also full of titiksha, one who is forbearing. He should always be ever content, steady in meditation, self-controlled, and possessed of firm drida buddhi, or you may say that is drida nishchaya, not drida buddhi, drida nishchaya, one who is of firm conviction, and has both his mind as well as buddhi fixed on me. He, my devotee, is dear to me. So, Sri Krishna here says the feeling devotion is not possible in a person who thinks, means he is such setting such a high standard of. People think 12th chapter is so easy. It is bhakti yoga. I like bhakti yoga. But when you understand what true bhakti means, it is, if not more difficult than jnana, it is as difficult as that. Because here you see all the elements of all the yogas are there. He says you have to be a yogi, you have to be you have to be free from ignorance. Now that feeling itself comes through Jnana Yoga. That's why some of the Bhakti commentators, they say first comes Jnana, where you understand your role in society, in role in the world, and through the feeling, through some Jnana, you believe in some kind of equality, equality with the animals, equality with human beings, and equality with the whole nature. So feeling of oneself with the ego that I am separate, I am superior, it is born of ignorance. So that should go. So, a very aggressive form of this same feeling that one is different, I am different from others, is hatred, capable of creating poison in one's own system. Because when you hate others, or you can hate others when you think that they are wrong and I am right. This destructive feeling, according to Arjuna, is not good for a true devotee. Then he says, that is not enough. Krishna doesn't stop with this. Okay, you don't hate others. So, mere avoiding hate is not enough. The example Sri Ramakrishna or Swami Vivekananda gives, the cow never hates anyone. The wall does not hate anyone because it is dead. Stones and stone like people, who have no emotions, they also don't hate each other because they are very too insensitive. But they are not better. A cow is always a cow. Swami Vivekananda says a cow does not hate, it is very mild. It doesn't have any hatred for anyone. Even if you provoke it, it doesn't. But that doesn't make it a saint. It is a cow. So, life should, this non-hatred should be a positive approach, that in spite of all the provocations, I shall not hate. That is why feeling friendly to all is a mark of the beginning of devotee's life. Then contentment is like one of the basic motives of spiritual progress. Otherwise, Holy Mother would not have said that Santosha, there is no guna higher than Santosha. Santosha is such a underestimated quality, but Holy Mother places it on the highest pedestal. She says there is no quality, not even forbearance, not even forgiveness, not even compassion. To be content is the most difficult thing, to be happy with what you have. So, if a devotee of God, if he feels everything has come from the Lord, then he has to be content. Otherwise, he is not trusting the Lord. If he feels that the Lord has not given me this, the Lord has not given me that, when the right time comes, he will give. If you don't even seek it, nor do you avoid it. So it's not just you don't seek, but you should not avoid. If pleasure comes, fine. Pain comes, fine. That is why he it says sama dukkha sukha kshami. He is same in, because even if you don't seek, you are not seeking anything. You are content. Say you want to lead a very simple life, but suddenly a neighbor will come and disturb you. You are not seeking pain, nor you are seeking pleasure. But at the same time, both pleasure and pain will come to you, so that he doesn't become very dull and inactive. The Lord says he should be happy in both, even minded in pleasure and pain. And then, among all the egos, the ego of possessing wealth, the ego of possessing possessions like property and other things, they are dangerous. But the highest ego is, which I explained just before, that why Sri Ramakrishna went to Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. In fact, he went and praised him. He said, "You are an ocean of," but Vidyasagar was humble enough to say that no, compared to your knowledge, I am nothing. He was humble, no doubt. But at the same time, there was one defect which Sri Ramakrishna wanted to correct. When he said, my goal of my life is to help others, he said, who are you to help? He said it in many places. It's the Lord's wish that somebody is helped through you. So if you have a feeling that you are rendering either spiritual help or physical help to someone, that can be very dangerous. So aham and mama. Mama, you might have given up all the idea of possession, you have given up. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was not even proud of his qualification, his wealth. He had acquired a lot of wealth, but he was charitable. But at the same time, as I said, he was at the end of his life, he thought everybody whom he has helped has betrayed him and not even reciprocated, but criticized him. So, a true devotee, according to Sri Krishna, is free from this both mamatva and aham. So, now this contentment, according to Sri Krishna, comes only when one meditates. That is why he says satatam yogi. He is not only a yogi, but is always established in the state of yoga. So, we'll take one example from Sri Ramakrishna's Gospel. When you remember once Mathuranath, who was the owner of the Dakshineshwar, they had built, in fact, Rani Rasmani had built it and he inherited that whole property. So he was very fond of just having a look at all the different shrines and trying to put more and more ornaments. That's why Sri Ramakrishna, when he was asked to do puja of Ma Kali, he said, if Hriday or somebody else takes care of the jewels, I can't take care of the Lord's jewels. I can do puja, I can do devotion, but don't give, this is a horrible responsibility. I have nothing to do with jewels. But as usual, there will crores and crores of rupees are spent because we think the Lord will be very happy. So the people used to donate, and one day some thief came and robbed a very, very costly and a very precious necklace, which I think Mathuranath had himself made. And he was very angry with the priest, and then he was angry with the Lord himself. He said, what kind of power you have? You could not save your own jewelry. Then Thakur scolded him, saying, these things may be important for you. This may be precious to you, but for the Lord, it is just like a clod of earth. So, the Lord does not, in the gospel it is said, the Lord does not attach any value to the wealth and property that is dedicated to Him. So, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, that verse also will be there. I am happy with a patra or pushpa or one fruit, or even if you can't do it, just a little water, if you give me, I am happy. Nothing whatsoever. The Lord bestows His grace only on that devotee who has an inordinate love and devotion for Him. The blessed Lord attaches more importance to devotion, discrimination, that is buddhi, and detachment from worldliness. Now, this verse, the 15th verse, will explain that. What are the other qualities? This was a very favorite quality of Mahapurush Maharaj, Swami Shivanandaji. Now, if you see the book for Seekers of God, he was always unperturbed. He had a very, very simple diet. They used to call it Mahapurush Maharajir Jhol, maybe because of his stomach problem and all. He used to just mix all the vegetables and no spices, no salt, just it was, people used to make even fun that even a patient is not given that kind of diet, but he was very happy. So he used to take that, and wherever he went, it was so easy to serve him because that was the only item he needed just to survive. He ate not to live. He ate only to live, not live to eat, as they say. So he used to quote this. Whenever somebody asked, how are you, Maharaj? How is your... What they meant was, how is your health? He was at such an advanced age. So he used to give, most of the time, he used to give this, quote this verse, saying that Sri Ramakrishna will take care. And since he was devoted, since he was so devoted to Thakur, He said, this verse he used to quote, Yasman no dvijate loko, lokan no dvijate chaya, harsha marsha bhaya udvegai, mukto yah sacha me priya. Means yasmat, from whom one is not agitated. From anyone. Means yasmat, who is not agitated by any behavior that is, or any person who misbehaves with him. Yasmat na udvijate lokah. And loka means the whole world. Not any particular person, but even if the whole world uh, is not able to agitate him. He's speaking of the quality of a bhakta, not a jnani. He says, Yasmat na udvijate lokaha, lokan na udvijate chayah. And the world also is not agitated by his presence. Wherever he goes, he does not agitate others, and others can't agitate him. Means others can't disturb his tranquility of his mind. And moreover, this is not enough. This is definitely a quality, but the next stage is harsha amarsha. Means harsha amarsha bhaya udvega. 4 qualities he is free from. So this Sri Ramakrishna used to very often quote not the Sanskrit, but in Bengali used to say 4 things. Who is not excited or who is not agitated by joy, harsha, means not that divine joy, but the joy we get after enjoying worldly things, that joy. So harsha, amarsha, that is envy. Envy means jealousy. He is happy when he gets, but he is also happy when others get something. So he doesn't envy somebody else. He is not happy, means he is not at all agitated, whether you get or whether you don't get. Harsha, amarsha, bhaya, fear. He doesn't have any fear. And anxiety, udvega. Udvega is fear of the unknown. Udvega is a very nice word. Udvega means we anticipate certain things which may or may not happen in our life. And anticipating some future calamity or some future problem, we have remorse now, or we even have anxiety now. So it's no use having an anxiety now for a thing which has not happened. So he should not only be equal in joy and fear, harsha, amarsha, bhaya, and udvega. These are the 4 qualities. Muktaha. He should be muktaha, or free from joy, harsha, amarsha, envy, fear, and anxiety. Such a may priya, even he is dear to me. Now, you will see from verse 13, 14, 15, the Lord is saying, he is not saying he is the dearest to me. So the climax is still there. These are just the introductory qualities. He says, all the devotees are dear to me. Some are less dear. He is dear to me. So 13th verse, if you have those qualities, you are dear to me. 14th verse, if you have these qualities, you are dear to me. Then 15th also he says, harsha, marsha. So Mahapurush Maharaj used to say, if you want to get the grace, you always come and complain to me. Remember this verse of the Gita. Do you have these qualities? And what right do you have to say that I am doing japa, I am doing this, I am doing that, and the Lord has not shown? Why will he show himself to you? You first develop these qualities. And if you are in a stage where you are not afflicted by anyone and you don't afflict others, and you are free from joy, there's no excessive joy. It's not that the inner joy is always there, but that is a steady type of joy. Here, harsha means too much of joy, that you want always to do some merry. Merry is a better word than joy, to be always merry, or at least show that you are always merry. Anger, fear, and anxiety is there. So, now we'll see one example which Sri Ramakrishna gives is that of Prahlada. You all know the story of Prahlada. He actually was the eldest wife's son. So naturally he would have had access to. But the younger wife of the king extracted a promise from her husband, who was the king, that my son should be should inherit the kingdom. And Prahlada was least. Oh no, that is different. This is Hiranyakashipu. He was a sort of super devotee, where he had absolutely no likes and dislikes. So whatever happened to Prahlada, he would accept it as the will of Hari. He was a great devotee of Vishnu, Hari, and for him everything was the same. So then we come to the next verse. This is a very important psychological truth which is there in the gospel. So you see, Sri Ramakrishna has discussed all these things in the gospel. That is why they say everything that the scriptures speak of, somewhere or the other, Sri Ramakrishna has spoken that. He says, Sri Ramakrishna says, that man wastes his own time and energy who always engages himself in recounting the worth of others. That means trying to judge others. As Jesus said, judge not others so that ye be not judged. So he says, if you judge others, then you will have to allow the Lord to judge you. If you want the Lord not to judge you and shower His grace without any qualification, then you should not judge others. Because if you judge others, then you will be judged by the Lord in the same way. So that is why one who does not waste his time recounting the worth of others. For in doing so, he neither gains in building his own character, nor he gets his mind fixed in the glory of the Lord. So that is what Sri Ramakrishna said. But the next verse is very important, which again Sri Krishna says, 16th verse, which other type of devotee is also dear to me. The first 13th verse, you have those qualities. The 14th, 15th, 16th verse is Anapeksha Suchir Daksha Udasino Gatavyatha Sarvaramba Parityagi Yo Mad Bhakta Samay Priya. Anapeksha means one who does not have any apeksha, that is, any want. It doesn't have an inordinate desire to possess something. If he gets, it's fine. If it doesn't get, he's fine. Anapeksha. These are all wonderful Sanskrit words. Shuchihi. One who believes in purity. So it's not that one is just mindful of physical cleanliness, but it is also necessary. All types of cleanliness, shuchihi, that is pure. Actually, it means pure. Mental purity, physical purity. Dakshaha. Now this is rather important. One who is expert. That means, though he is free from wants, he is an expert in whatever. Daksha means he is very, very expert in whatever profession he follows or whatever he does. He doesn't do anything half-heartedly. So that's why Swamiji sometimes told his disciple that the person who meditates well can cook also well. Because if he's cooking well, his full attention he is cooking, then that shows that he has the capacity to meditate as well. So he should be an expert in whatever he does. He may not be attached to the results, but just because it will not give him some fruits, he should not do it in a slipshod manner. So that is why he says he should be free from wants, but at the same time he should be an expert in whatever he does. Udasina, but not be concerned about the results. He does whatever he does perfectly, but in an expert way. He's an expert in whatever he does, but he's at the Udasina. Udasina is word. In fact, there is a sect who are known as Udasis. They are also monks of a certain order. So Udasin means they are unconcerned. I mean, sometimes the people think, oh, these people are insensitive people. They are not even bothered what happens, what is happening in the world, they are just Udasi. They appear to be negative or maybe very tamasic because they don't, if you tell them something, they will just say, but that is not what is meant here. Here, Udasina means one who is unconcerned about the fruits of his whatever expertise he has, he does, and then he just forgets. He is not concerned about whether he will be acknowledged, whether he will get the fruits, whether he will be praised, or whether he will be criticized. In that sense, it is Udasina. Gatavyataha, who is untroubled. Gatavyata means it is a very nice combination of words. Vyataha means vyatha. pain. Gata Vyata means one who has no pain, who has gone beyond pain. So indirectly, you can say untroubled person. So no amount of abusing or doing anything, he is not he is untroubled by anything that is thrown at him. So he is known as Gata Vyata. So many qualities the Lord has listed. Even if you see the 14th chapter, which we'll discuss, the rajasic qualities, rajasic mind, rajasic food, everything is categorized. So here, Gata Vyata, and this is the most difficult to understand. The Shankaracharya has written a huge, big commentary on this. Sarvarambha Parityagi, one who renounces all undertakings. Now that means you don't start anything. So if a person has that attitude, how can he be? Uh, how can he give up? I mean, Sarva Arambha. Arambha means any initiative. All initiatives, Parityagi. He renounces all initiatives. That means he is a man without any initiative in life. So how can such a person be of some use? We always praise people who have initiative, who will do this, who are doers, who get things done. If nobody is able to do, there are some people who will say, "I'll do it." So Sarvarambha Parityagi is exactly opposite. So people are confused. Why does the Lord say that? On one end, he says Sarvarambha Parityagi, and then he tells Arjuna to fight. So how can these two be reconciled? So he says Sarvarambha Parityagi means whatever he starts, he has renounced the fruits. That is how it is interpreted by Shankaracharya. He says he's selfless. So if he's selfless, then whatever he starts is not for himself. Initiative comes when your ego is very strong. Oh, I started this, so I should run this and it should be perfect. Then you are attached to the results just because you started it. But if something is going on and you just don't take any initiative, but just get joy in running that uh, whatever initiative others have taken. But if I feel, oh, it is that person's initiative, but I will do this way. This is my initiative. So that ego is given, that selflessness has to be cultivated. So Sarvarambha Parityagi means not being inactive, not to start any undertaking at all. But whatever undertaking, if somebody else has started or the undertaking is already there, then you just running it with enthusiasm, not being troubled by any things, gatavyataha, and also expertly doing what is expected to be done by you. That devotee, samad bhakta, that these qualities, any devotee who has these qualities is dear to me. Now he still doesn't say he's dearest to me. That will come afterwards. In just 3 verses, you will come to know the final result. Who is the Sreshtatama one? Who is the greatest among all these? These are all dear to me, but these are the basic qualifications, but he is not the dearest. So then he comes, then he says, Sri Ramakrishna's, let us discuss one small quote of Sri Ramakrishna, which is very significant. He says, he who is not deceived by his own mind, bhaver ghare churi, that is the word Thakur used. Bhav means your own attitude. Bhaver ghare means you are not deceiving your own mind. Your mind says you have to, this is the right path. But then you convince yourself, no, it's okay, everybody is doing, so let me do that. So he who is not deceived by his own mind, a person such as he alone, gains access to the divine presence of the Lord. The point comes to this, that an attitude free from guile means cleverness. Sometimes we think if we are clever, then we can negotiate the world better. So, one is free from guile and deceit. Guile means cunningness, and deceit means cheating. Of course, that is really bad. But normally in the world, cunning people are appreciated because he is very shrewd, or not cunning, you may say shrewd people who are full of guile. We say, oh, he's, but a person who is like a a very simpleton, we say is a guileless person. We think is not capable of uh, getting his way through. So one who is free from guile, but the Lord says exactly the opposite. If he is free from guile and deceit, then the true devotion comes. So, yeah. So these are the means. Then we come to verse 17, which is also another few qualities which are necessary for a devotee who is dear to Krishna. Yo na rishyati na dveshti na shochati na kangshati shubha shubha parityagi bhakti manya same priya. One who neither rejoices nor hates. This harsha marsha, same thing. Neither rejoices nor hates, nor grieves nor desires. Who does not grieve over anything, renouncing good and evil, means not renouncing Shubha, Ashubha, Parityagi. So, this is a very difficult thing which Sri Ramakrishna has explained why one should renounce Shubha. He says, no, it is not renouncing Shubha. He says, Shubha and Ashubha are like two thorns. Ashubha is something which has a thorn has struck your foot. Then you take another thorn and then try to remove that uh, thorn which is causing you pain. But the second thorn is good because it does the same thing. It pierces the skin, but it helps you to remove the old skin. But then he says you don't put the good thorn, the thorn which we used inside, then again it will pain. So, in that sense, Shubha and Ashubha. Ashubha you have to remove by Shubha, and then you have to throw away both means you should not be egoistic that you are good when somebody else is bad. So he is bad or she is bad and I am good and I'm trying to. So that ego will again cause problems. The ego which comes because of evil nature or the problem that comes out of a evil nature. Shubha and Ashubha are both Shubha, Shubha, Parityagi. One Bhaktiman, he is full of devotion and is dear to me. So, uh, yeah, so there is time. So almost over now. So we'll leave three verses are there. But that will be the most important uh, last three verses because here he says that 19th and 20th verse he will say who is the greatest among them. Bhakti Bhaktaste ativa me priya. They are exceedingly dear to me. That is only the last three. Of course, all the other qualities are stepping stones. But then those who follow this immortal dharma described by me, endued with Shraddha, not just bhakti, but Shraddha also, and look upon me as the supreme goal and devoted, they are exceedingly dear to me. So that will conclude the Sri Ramakrishna had described it in two types. One is Vaidhi Bhakti. He doesn't say lower or high. Of course, he says lower and higher Bhakti. He says one is Vaidika Bhakti and another is Prema Bhakti. So one is you follow the scriptures and then to a certain extent it will qualify you for Prema Bhakti, which he says is very rare, which the gopis had, for example. Because they did not, all the other devotees were inferior compared to the gopis. Because as I told you, when Uddhava was very full of ego, then Sri Krishna decided to teach him a lesson. He said, why don't you go and visit the gopis and just find out how they are, uh, uh, how they are because after leaving Vrindavan, Krishna never went back. He was always moving around here and there. He never went back to Vrindavan. The people who loved him so much, the gopis who were so dear to him, and he was dear to them. So he was hardly 14 years when he left Vrindavan, but he did not go back. But still, he knew they are the greatest devotees compared to all the other devotees who followed him. Arjuna, Uddhava, then Narada, of course, are always there. So he sends Uddhava to, there's a nice chapter in the Bhagavatam where he goes and talks to the gopis. And they find that normally he wanted to see what are the qualities they have. How can they be superior to us, to me at least? So when he goes there, they don't even complain they are least bothered. He thought they will go and then see how devoted we are, and he has just left us. So that is naturally people think that the Lord has not helped us. We did so much of puja, everything we did. He is. Some people even lose faith in the Lord because they think that he has not repaid them, or the Lord has not showered his grace in spite of them doing so much. But here he finds everything opposite. They are least bothered. They never even once mentioned that he is so heartless that we showered all our love, we gave up our families. Many of them were old women, already married, had children. So they were criticized not only by their, because they neglected everything and ran after Krishna, who used to play the flute. So we know the famous Ras Leela and all those things. So they were so attracted, they practically deserted their own family to follow this Krishna. And this Krishna, without announcing, one day he just goes away. So naturally, Uddhava felt that they would be very angry. See, we loved him so much and he didn't even care while going, did not even say goodbye to us or something like that. But he was surprised. They were just asking him, how is he? Is he eating properly? Is he healthy enough? He has grown up. They still think he's that small boy, a small Krishna. So he says, is he fed properly? He has become a king now. But for them, that Vrindavan Krishna is so real for them, that they are just concerned about his welfare. Not once did they say how much pain he has given us, because they just wanted to shower their love to Krishna. Did not expect anything back. So that Sri Krishna says, and Ramakrishna says in the gospel, is prema bhakti. Vaidhi bhakti means I give you love, and in return you shower your grace upon me. I'm willing to do tapasya. Willing to do puja. I'm willing to read the scriptures. That is known as Vaidika bhakti, means scriptural bhakti. So it's a give and take sort of relationship with the Lord. Whereas prema bhakti, according to Sri Krishna, is very difficult, and the Lord does not give this prema bhakti. Only gopis had that. Sri Krishna will say that. So there is no kind of earthly attachment. If there is the slightest earthly attachment, then that prema bhakti will not come. So these gopis, they were so detached from their family, they didn't care as long as they were told that Sri Krishna is happy. They even did not think that he has grown up. They were just asking, is he the same Krishna who is still playing the flute? So they were lost in that world. They were so obsessed with his love. So such devotees, this wholehearted devotion is known as prema bhakti, and it is such devotees are graciously accepted by the Lord, and only such devotees qualifies to be the highest, and then such devotees become his own. All others are appreciated. They are dear to the Lord, but not as dear as he doesn't make them their own. So prema bhakti, it is because they don't expect anything. Then the Lord gives everything to those devotees. So any question is there? If there are some questions. So hopefully in the next class we'll finish the 12th chapter, and then we'll uh, enter into, after this wonderful Bhakti Yoga, we'll come into a very important chapter, which is very important if you want to understand the philosophy of Patanjali's yoga. That is Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga, means the difference between Prakriti and Purusha. How through the path of yoga, this was Bhakti Yoga, now how through the path of meditation, though Dhyana Yoga was there, 6th chapter we have discussed in great detail, but here, it is Jnana as well as yoga, so it is known as Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga. So you make a clear distinction. Every time you do, oh, this is Prakriti, this is Purusha, this is Prakriti, this is Purusha. If you keep your mind alert and not get drawn by Prakriti, and how to do it, how does it help? 4 yogas are also mentioned there, and how it results in mukti. That is what 13th chapter. So hopefully we'll finish the last three verses in the next Bhagavad Gita class and start a new chapter, which is chapter 13. Any question? Yeah.
You mentioned something about, was it not being deceived by the mind?
By the
mind?
Ah.
Could you expand upon that?
Yeah, self-deception. The word normally in English that is used is self-deception. Self does not deceive, but mind deception. Actually, should be in Hinduism. We say our own mind. As I told you, mind is made of two distinct layers. One is the higher mind and lower mind. One is known as manas, another is known as buddhi. In fact, our personality, the Vijnanamay kosha and the Manomay kosha are entirely different. Though they are connected to each other, they are totally distinct. Their very nature is distinct. So what happens is Manomay kosha, or the mind which is closest to the prana and the body, is highly reactive in nature. So when you are residing, or when your consciousness is in the manas level, then you take decisions by like the inputs that you get from the world through our different senses, and you react to them. So it's a kind of primitive mind which can be highly skilled. Like if your response is very good, like good cricket players or badminton, all these players, they have a very good response. So their mind responds very quickly to the inputs. So that is also a skill. So a highly skilled mind, whether it is in the field of sports or some computers or any artificial, I mean, it is like a highly reactive, but at the same time, a very well trained mind. So that kind of training is not what is meant here. So the higher mind, when you start functioning, when the buddhi is awakened, so that is a very important phase of our life where you start using a higher faculty which for most human beings does not exist. It may exist in a very primitive way, but spiritual life is all about awakening of the buddhi. As I said many times, the whole of Gayatri Mantra, Vedas, they end in this concept of beginning spiritual life by awakening the dhi. So when this dhi comes, there is another faculty of the mind which can watch the lower faculty. It is as it were, you are in this room, you are doing something here, but you are watching yourself doing something in the mirror. So you are aware that your mind is reacting in a particular way. See, you might definitely feel this when you are very attentive and trying to watch your thoughts. So you know that something is wrong. These thoughts are just coming from nowhere, and I am just witnessing it. I am trying to control. So that kind of control is what is meant here. That that is understandable, or that you can appreciate what it means, mind controlling the other part of the mind, when you divide the mind into upper and lower mind, or buddhi and manas. So psychologically, or in the yoga, or even in Vedanta, they say manas is totally different than buddhi. So a highly, absolutely highly intellectual person who has gone to the limits of his intelligence can be a spiritual pygmy. When it comes to buddhi, he may be absolutely zero. So the fact that a person doesn't have to be highly trained or highly intelligent, because that is at the level of manas. So that is the difference. So when buddhi develops, you understand that this manas is not enough to negotiate the world. You may be very capable, you may do many tasks, you may be highly skilled in certain tasks. Mechanically, of course, it will give you whatever you want. You get good jobs, you do everything. But then you don't know how to get joy out of that. For that, you need the awakening of the higher mind. That is what is meant.
Chat, there is a question.
Hmm.
Prema Bhakti can be attained through seva.
The question is, can prema bhakti be attained to seva? Yes, depends on. Strictly speaking, seva will not lead you to that. but it's the attitude with which you do seva. Seva can be of several levels. One is just out of compassion, like Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar did, which will help. Definitely, it's better than doing bad to the world, but it will not lead to prema bhakti. For prema bhakti, you should have a feeling that it is not me, but the Lord who is getting these things done through me. So that will lead to prema bhakti if it is complemented with yoga and all the qualities that we discussed. If you have all these qualities and then do seva, then that seva can lead to. It's not necessary that it will lead to prema bhakti. It will take a. That's why Swami Premananda, who had that kind of prema bhakti towards Thakur. That's why many people did not understand him, or rather misunderstood him. That is why Swami Vivekananda told him, don't initiate people, because he would simply give up his life for his disciples. Because he didn't think of himself, the ego was totally gone. So that kind of devotion, because he thought everybody is the Lord. So that's why sometimes they had to tell him, be practical. He would, whatever was cultivated for the monastery, he would just give it to the devotees or any poor person coming and asking, I don't have the, because he was seeing the Lord everywhere. Turyananji once said that it was so dangerous to, I mean, no, it was such a great experience to walk with him, because wherever his eyes fell, he would see the Lord. He could not see anything but the Lord. So that prema bhakti, sometimes when somebody asked, when he went to Bangladesh, he was sent by Swami Vivekananda to preach. He said, you go to the eastern part of Bengal and preach. So there in the crowd, somebody asked him how to attain prema bhakti. Then uh, Premananji told him, do you think it is so easy? Are you able to cut off your head and offer it to the Lord? If you can do that, then you can attain prema bhakti. Then everybody kept quiet, because nobody had that kind of desire to sacrifice one's. The idea was that one has to be ready for any kind of sacrifice for the Lord.
Next class, which was,
Next class.
which will be the first number. So we will
Oh,
discuss
the verse number that we'll discuss is 17, 18, 19, and 20. We finished 17 verses. Next class, 18, 19. We'll conclude Bhakti Yoga. It has 20 verses. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu